What if I told you that the single most effective tool for transforming your body isn't hidden in a supplement bottle, doesn't require an expensive gym membership, and certainly doesn't demand you to destroy your knees with high-impact cardio? What if the secret to unlocking a faster metabolism, melting stubborn belly fat, and building a foundation of longevity has been right under your feet this entire time? Most people believe that walking is just a placeholder activity, something you do while waiting for the real workout to begin. They think it is too simple, too easy, and frankly, too boring to produce any significant physiological change. But what if I told you that by treating walking as a secondary afterthought, you are actually suppressing your body's natural fat-burning potential and keeping yourself trapped in a cycle of exhaustion and plateau? Today, we are going to dismantle everything you thought you knew about low-intensity movement. We are not just talking about taking a casual stroll around the block. We are talking about a deliberate, strategic protocol of 10,000 steps every single day for 30 days. This is not a challenge for the weak-willed or the impatient. This is a biological experiment designed to prove that consistency beats intensity every single time. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why your body responds differently to steady-state movement than it does to sporadic bursts of effort. And more importantly, you will discover the hidden mistake that 90% of people make when they try to implement this habit, a mistake that turns a powerful metabolic tool into a complete waste of time. Imagine waking up on day one of this experiment. Your body feels heavy. Your energy levels are fluctuating wildly throughout the afternoon, and that persistent layer of fat around your midsection refuses to budge no matter how strictly you count your calories. You decide to commit to the 10,000-step protocol, but instead of viewing it as a chore, you view it as a signal to your nervous system. Here is the surprising part that most fitness influencers gloss over. Walking is not primarily about burning calories during the act itself. If you look at the math, walking 10,000 steps might only burn 300 to 400 calories, which is easily erased by a single snack. That is not the point. The true power lies in what happens to your hormonal environment when you engage in consistent, low-stress movement. When you walk, especially in a fasted state or before meals, you are activating a specific enzyme called lipoprotein lipase, which acts as a key to unlock fat cells for energy usage. Unlike high-intensity interval training, which spikes cortisol and can sometimes trigger a survival response in a stressed body, walking signals safety to your brain. It tells your adrenal glands that you are active but not under threat, allowing your body to shift from storage mode to mobilization mode. This is the hidden mechanism that separates those who transform their bodies from those who simply exhaust themselves. As you progress through the first week, you might notice something counterintuitive. You do not feel a massive surge of energy immediately. In fact, you might feel a strange sense of calmness replacing your usual jittery caffeine dependence. This is your parasympathetic nervous system coming online. For years, you have likely been running on sympathetic dominance, the fight-or-flight state that keeps cortisol chronically elevated. High cortisol is the arch-nemesis of belly fat loss because it specifically directs fat storage to the visceral area around your organs. By committing to daily walking, you are essentially performing a daily cortisol detox. But here is where the danger element comes in, and this is where most people fail before they even reach day 7. The mistake is not in the walking itself. The mistake is in the compensation effect. Your brain, being incredibly efficient at conserving energy, will subconsciously try to sabotage your progress. After completing your 10,000 steps, you might find yourself sitting for longer periods the rest of the day, or you might feel entitled to eat slightly more because you earned it. This is the hidden trap. If you walk 10,000 steps, but then remain sedentary for the remaining 16 hours of your day, you negate the metabolic benefits. The goal is not just to hit a step count. The goal is to increase your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT, across the entire 24-hour cycle. Walking must be integrated into your lifestyle, not isolated as a task to be checked off and forgotten. Let's dive deeper into the science of insulin sensitivity, because this is where the magic truly happens for anyone struggling with weight loss. Every time you contract your muscles during a walk, you are pulling glucose out of your bloodstream without requiring as much insulin. Think of your muscles as a sponge. When you are sedentary, that sponge is dry and hard. It resists absorbing sugar, forcing your pancreas to pump out more insulin to force the glucose into cells. High insulin levels lock your fat cells shut. But when you walk, you wring out that sponge. You create a mechanical demand for fuel that bypasses the hormonal resistance. This is why timing matters so much. A 15-minute walk immediately after a meal can reduce the blood sugar spike by up to 30% compared to sitting down. Now, multiply that effect by hitting 10,000 steps distributed throughout the day. You are essentially keeping your insulin baseline lower for longer periods, creating a metabolic environment where fat burning is not just possible, but probable. However, there is a nuance here that separates the amateurs from the masters. Not all 10,000 steps are created equal. Mindlessly shuffling around your house while scrolling through social media does not provide the same stimulus as purposeful, brisk walking with good posture and arm swing. The intensity needs to be moderate enough to sustain for long durations, but vigorous enough to elevate your heart rate above its resting baseline. This is the zone where mitochondrial biogenesis occurs, meaning you are literally building more power plants inside your cells to burn fat efficiently. By the second week of this 30-day journey, you will likely encounter the mental barrier. This is the point where the novelty wears off and the reality of discipline sets in. Your legs might feel tired, not from injury, but from adaptation. Your connective tissues are strengthening, your capillaries are multiplying, and your joints are lubricating. This is the silent reconstruction phase. Many people quit here because they do not see dramatic scale changes yet. They expect linear progress, but biological transformation is exponential. The water retention shifts, the inflammation decreases, and the gut health improves before the fat mass drops significantly. Speaking of gut health, here is another layer to this secret that rarely gets discussed. Walking stimulates peristalsis, the wave-like contractions of your digestive tract. In our modern society, digestive stagnation is a primary driver of bloating and systemic toxicity. By moving your body rhythmically, you are mechanically aiding your digestion, reducing the time food sits in your gut and improving nutrient absorption. A healthier gut microbiome is directly linked to better mood regulation and reduced cravings. So when you walk, you are not just training your legs, you are tuning your entire internal ecosystem. But beware of the overcompensation trap again. Do not use walking as an excuse to ignore strength training or proper nutrition. Walking is the foundation, the base of the pyramid, but it is not the entire structure. It works synergistically with resistance training and adequate protein intake. Without muscle mass, your walking efficiency decreases and your metabolic floor lowers. The 10,000 steps preserve your ability to move, but you must also build the engine that powers that movement. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the obsession with data. In today's fitness landscape, we are drowning in metrics. Step counts, heart rate zones, sleep scores, calorie deficits. While tracking is useful, it can become a source of anxiety that defeats the purpose of stress-reducing movement. Here is the mid-video twist that might shock you. The number 10,000 is arbitrary. It was not derived from rigorous clinical trials proving it is the magical threshold for health. It was originally a marketing slogan for a Japanese pedometer company in the 1960s. Does that mean you should stop aiming for it? Absolutely not. But it means you should understand that the benefit is dose-dependent, not threshold-dependent. 5,000 steps is infinitely better than 2,000. 8,000 is better than 5. 10,000 is a fantastic target for comprehensive health, but 12,000 or 15,000 yields diminishing returns if it leads to burnout or injury. The real metric you should be tracking is how you feel. Are your energy levels stable? Is your sleep deeper? Are your clothes fitting looser? These are the true indicators of success. The danger lies in becoming a slave to the device rather than a master of your biology. If you miss a day, or if you only hit 6,000 steps because life got busy, do not spiral into guilt. Guilt raises cortisol, and we already know what cortisol does to belly fat. Consistency over months and years matters far more than perfection over 30 days. As you enter the third week, something profound begins to happen. The walking stops feeling like exercise and starts feeling like existence. You begin to notice changes in your cognitive function. Blood flow to the brain increases, delivering oxygen and nutrients that clear brain fog and enhance focus. This is the BDNF boost, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which acts like fertilizer for your neurons. You are not just slimming down, you are sharpening up. The connection between physical movement and mental clarity is undeniable, yet we often treat them as separate domains. When you walk, especially outdoors in nature, you are engaging in a form of moving meditation. The bilateral stimulation of left-right movement helps process emotions and reduce rumination. This is why so many great thinkers, writers, and leaders throughout history were avid walkers. They understood that motion creates emotion, and stillness often breeds stagnation. But let's bring this back to the physical transformation, because that is likely why you are watching this. By week 3, your body composition is shifting. You might not see a drastic drop on the scale, but your waist-to-hip ratio is improving. This is the recomposition effect. You are losing visceral fat while retaining or even building lean tissue in your lower body. Your posture is improving as your core stabilizes and your hip flexors lengthen from the repetitive stride. You stand taller, you breathe deeper, and you carry yourself with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you showed up for yourself every single day. However, we must discuss the recovery aspect, because 10,000 steps a day is a volume load that your body must adapt to. If you suddenly jump from 2,000 steps to 10,000 without a gradual buildup, you risk shin splints, plantar fasciitis, or tendinitis. This is the hidden danger of enthusiasm. Your cardiovascular system adapts faster than your structural system. Your heart and lungs might feel ready for more, but your tendons and ligaments need weeks to strengthen. Listen to your body's whispers before they become screams. Invest in quality footwear. Rotate your shoes to vary the stress patterns. Incorporate mobility work and stretching to maintain range of motion. Walking is low impact, but it is not zero impact. Respect the repetition. And remember, rest is productive. If you feel genuine fatigue or joint pain, take a lighter day. Active recovery is still recovery. The goal is longevity, not martyrdom. You are building a habit that needs to last decades, not just 30 days. Sustainability is the ultimate metric of success. If you cannot maintain it for a year, it is not worth doing for a month. Approaching the final stretch of the 30 days, you will realize that the transformation has gone beyond the physical. You have rewired your identity. You are no longer someone who hopes to get fit, you are someone who moves. This identity shift is the most powerful outcome of all. Habits are sustained not by willpower, but by self-perception. When walking becomes part of who you are, it requires no effort to maintain. It becomes automatic, like brushing your teeth. And here is the climax of this entire experiment: the realization that you did not need to suffer to succeed. You did not need to punish your body to earn your health. You simply needed to align with your biology. The 10,000 steps were never about the steps themselves. They were about reclaiming your relationship with movement. They were about proving to yourself that small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary results. The belly fat did not vanish because of a magic pill. It vanished because you created a hormonal environment where it could no longer exist. The energy did not return because of caffeine. It returned because you stopped leaking it through chronic stress and sedentary decay. So what happens on day 31? Do you stop? Do you go back to your old ways? Or do you recognize that you have unlocked a permanent upgrade to your operating system? The answer should be obvious. This is not a finish line. It is a new baseline. But now you have the knowledge to optimize it further. You know how to time your walks for maximum metabolic impact. You know how to avoid the compensation trap. You know how to listen to your body's signals. You know that the number is arbitrary, but the consistency is sacred. You have discovered that the simplest solution is often the most profound. The fitness industry wants you to believe that health is complex, expensive, and elusive. They want you to keep buying, keep searching, keep doubting. But the truth is staring you in the face every time you look down at your feet. Your body is capable of far more than you think, provided you give it the right signals. The question is no longer whether walking works. The question is whether you are willing to trust the process when the results are not immediate. 6 months from now, you will either be proud that you started this journey, or you will be wishing you had. The path is literally beneath you. All you have to do is take the next step, and then the next, and then the next. Your future self is waiting for you to arrive. Make sure you show up.